Why did you decide to run for office in the first place?
I was more or less close to Ukrainian political system during all my entire life. Originally, by the way, I was supposed to be a Soviet diplomat. Thanks God it didn't happen, but I graduated from the Institute of International Relations in 1993. So I started my education in Soviet Union and finished in a modern Ukraine. My father was in Ukrainian parliament in this first, as we call it, democratic calling which started 1990. So he was the one who was voted for Ukrainian independence in 1991.
Prior to the election, you wrote an article where you said, "The truth is harsh. If Ukraine's political elite disappeared tomorrow, the country's future would be better off." Why'd you say that?
I know that one of the biggest drama of Ukraine is lack of leadership. It's the quality of bureaucrats. It's the quality of institutions. And all these issues were known to me before. And being here, I just more deeply understand how dramatic it is and how much efforts and forces we need to spend to develop, in fact, new Ukraine through institutions, because that's my mantra, that institution is fundamental. We need to work with rules and institutions. All other will come.
What are the things that you think need to change?
A few elements already done. I think
what?
minimum 2 or 3, if I'm not mistaken, already implemented. Like we almost killed parliamentary immunity, because during decades the members of the parliament, they were untouchable, and because of this a lot of businessmen, a lot of gangsters, they were looking for the mandate of the member of the parliament, not to be a politician or lawmaker, just to receive this special immunity and special untouchable status. Another issue is the open party lists for election, because one of the cancer of Ukrainian political system is a majoritarian election system, when people voting for individual, not for the party list. And it was also one of the reasons for political corruption in this country, because people with the money, they were able to buy electoral district, physically to buy. All this lack of trust forced people to vote for Zelensky and his people, which looks very strange, but it was like emotional reaction of this lack of trust. And that's exactly the biggest challenge which we have for this very moment. We need to return this trust, we need to build institutions, and that shall be priority number 1 for everyone who is thinking about Ukraine.
You guys are spending so much time and effort trying to root out corruption, and yet you are in the center of the United States impeachment of the president. What has that been like, that you're trying so hard here and you're at the center of a corruption issue with the US president?
Everyone is aware about all this story. Definitely people in this district, so they were watching a lot of live broadcast from the Senate because it's very exciting. I think that's the different type of corruption. But US corruption story is a little bit different. That's abuse of power for political reasons.
The former US envoy to Ukraine, Kurt Volker, said that the president once said, "They are all corrupt, they are all terrible people." And then during the questioning in some of the impeachment hearings, they talked about Ukraine being a corrupt country, and that's why they didn't want to send over money. What is your reaction to that?
When they say all, meaning they were saying about politicians, not about Ukrainian citizens. I think that weakness of the institutions, that's exactly the basement of several types of corruption. Because weak institutions created parallel realities in Ukraine. And we know that it is corruption. Because if you're a state servant, you need to live only on your salary, right? Yes.
Yeah.
So that's why, from this point of view, I may agree with Mr. Trump that yes, they are all corrupt. But I would interpret this like, yes, they all had to find additional ways how to survive. Not to live luxury life only, but even how to survive.
Do you worry, though, that you might lose support in Congress because of the impeachment?
For today, that's my personal belief, the United States of America remains the key ally for Ukraine. If we will lose the support from the United States of America, we may lose the chance to protect existing of Ukrainian state, because we're still on that stage of our development that we are not talking about our good or bad progress in, I don't know, in GDP and things like that. We're still talking about existing of Ukraine, and we're still talking about continuation of this 300 years conflict with Russia, and we're still talking about ambitions of Russian Empire to control all the territory of Ukraine. That's exactly the issue of our surviving. So that's why in this complex situation, the support from the United States of America is critical for Ukraine. And for sure, for us, it's not support from Democrats or Republicans, so come on. And definitely that should be the focus of Ukrainian foreign policy.
Thank you so much for talking to me.
No problem.